Welcome back to HQ Spotlight. The AFC East is shaping up to be a real toss-up in 2025. We know the Bills will be competitive, but the rest of the division is a real head-scratcher. Miami already has the injuries piling up day one of training camp. The Patriots with their first real chance of being competitive in years. And the team with the longest playoff drought in NFL history looks like they could compete. They put pen to paper with Garrett Wilson signing him to a 4-year extension. Aditi Kinkhabwala caught up with the new $130 million man ahead of training camp.
Is it your nature to see what other guys are getting, what a guarantee is? Like, do you have things like,
no,
I need to be here?
You know what? Initially, way back in the day, I kind of gave my agent a number that I, thought I was worthy of, thought we could get to, and he exceeded expectations. So for me, it was like, I love playing ball. Let's just get something done to where I'm long term and can go out and just play ball without thinking about anything. And it all worked out.
It all worked out for us as well as we welcome in our Ryan Wilson, draft analyst, NFL analyst extraordinaire, to talk about one thing we should be optimistic about when it comes to the AFC East for each team. Ryan, it feels like a good place to start with the Jets feeling optimistic about their wide receiver sticking around for a couple more years. What'd you think about the extension there and how that helps out the Jets when it comes to Garrett Wilson?
Hey, Sully. Hey, Haley. I put Haley Sutton together every single time we do this. Good to see you, is what I was trying to say. And, yeah, Garrett Wilson has every reason to be excited. He's talked about wanting to get paid. He deserves to get paid, so that makes a ton of sense. What's interesting, though, is that the Jets have reasons for optimism because their quarterback situation in Justin Fields, who comes from the Steelers, where he lost his job to Russ Wilson, they're going to be a run-focused offense, in part because of Justin Fields, in part because of Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, and I think that's going to help him. That's going to help the offense. That's going to help Garrett Wilson. And, oh, by the way, that defense is probably going to be closer to returning to the form that we're used to seeing. Just paid Sauce Gardner. They have Quentin Williams. They have a lot of young, explosive edge rushers. And I think this team is going to surprise some folks in this division. I don't know if they're going to win more than they lose, but I think they're going to be on the right track with new head coach Aaron Glenn and some guy in the front office. What's his name? Oh, yeah, Rick Spielman.
Your good friend, Rick Spielman. How can we forget about him? Listen, the Jets and Aaron Glenn have implemented this mantra of moving in silence. I'm with you. I think silently this Jets team is going to be very good, at least better than our expectations. They opened the season against Pittsburgh on CBS, so we're excited to see that rematch between quarterbacks as well, too. Let's talk about the Bills next, Ryan. New defensive lineman Joey Bosa opened up a little bit about the transition from L.A. to Buffalo, and he mentioned how close that defensive unit was. He said he spent more time with his teammates in Buffalo than he did with any of his teammates over the last 9 years with the Chargers. So for a team that the defense has sort of hindered them over the last few years, whether it's injuries or players just not stacking up, why are you confident that the defensive side of the ball is going to help this team upgrade in 25?
2 words, Josh Allen. He solved a lot of issues on offense, Haley, but I think to your point about the defense, Brandon Beane, the general manager, devoted a lot of resources in the offseason to fixing that defense. Joey Bosa might be the biggest name, but they spent a lot of their draft capital on upgrading the defensive line. They drafted Maxwell Harrison, the cornerback, in the first round. They moved on from former first-round pick Kyer Elam at corner, who never quite worked out. And I think here's the issue. I know some of the players that they signed, Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt, for example, are going to be suspended for the first few weeks of the season. But the Bills don't struggle in September and October. It's when they get to January and they have to face the Kansas City Chiefs of the world that sometimes things don't go quite as planned. And I think this is the long-term solution to fixing those January problems by getting that defense right. And I think this team is going to be, if anyone's going to challenge the Chiefs this year, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, excited to hear that. I'd be interested to see if they can finally get over the hump, but they've got that rematch against the Ravens Sunday Night Football on September 7th to kick off their season. So exciting stuff happening at Orchard Park for training camp. We got to talk about the Dolphins, Ryan. See, I did what you did. I put Dolphins and Ryans together, and we got Dians. Either way, the Dolphins are a mess right now. There's been talks of a culture shift happening in Miami, whether it's Tyreek Hill's end-of-season antics last year or just the toughness question. I want you to listen to quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who kind of spoke about this culture when it comes to Tyreek Hill, before we talk about what we're optimistic about in South Florida.
He's working on himself. He's working on the things that he says he wants to get better with and do better on. So that's the first step to me, and so I commend him for doing that.
So, Ryan, when we talk about the things that you have optimism in with this Dolphins team, one of the things that you're looking at is the star players being healthy. It's kind of tough, though, if they're healthy and not getting along, though. And it just feels like this is a longer conversation that will continue to draw out through training camp. But how do the Dolphins push past all of these issues that they're already seeing day one?
They need to start going to church, Haley. I think that would be the first piece of advice I would get them. And by the way, a work in progress, if you're a couple and you're telling people that you're a work in progress, things aren't going great. And this Tua and Tyreek are essentially a couple, and they're a power couple who have apparently hit a rough patch, and it's not all it's mostly Tyreek's doing, I think we could say. So it's funny because I was going to try to talk myself into the offensive line being a potential bright spot here because Austin Jackson's healthy. I know they have some concerns at left tackle, but the interior offensive line is good. Producer James informed me that everyone on the planet has gotten hurt in the interior offensive line in the last few hours. I just heard you talk about all the defensive backs have gotten hurt. So here's fingers crossed that Tyreek and Jalen Waddle can stay healthy and that Tua can stay healthy. And again, it's going to require a lot of prayer because I think if this thing does not go as planned, and by planned, I mean they need to win more than they lose in Miami, we could be having a conversation about Mike McDaniel's job security, fair or not. So if Tua's healthy, he can absolutely sling it. But again, work in progress doesn't instill a lot of confidence as the start of training camp gets underway here in a division that's going to be incredibly competitive. So I will go to church this Sunday for them, Haley. I would encourage them to do the same. In terms of long-term optimism about the Miami Dolphins, can't beat the weather in December. So you always got that going for you.
It is very nice here in December. The sun is out. It is not snowing. I will say, you mentioned the injuries. I don't even think we have enough time to go through all of them that we've just seen today. Liam Eichenberg was put on the PUP to start the season. We had an offensive lineman today. Byron Matos had to be meta-flighted to a local hospital. Artie Burns, a cornerback, potentially tore his ACL. I'm going to stop there because, like I said, the list is extensive when it comes to Miami. So let's wrap up our conversation talking about the Patriots. Ryan, it's always interesting in the changing of guard, right? And we know Bill Belichick as this tough, rough guy, and when he talks to the media, he's short to the point. Mike Vrabel had a viral moment yesterday where a reporter accidentally asked him a question he had already been asked in the press conference, and he called the reporter out. He was like, listen, we're all going to be locked in here. You're not going to ask me the same questions twice. And so that culture shift even extends over to the media side of this. How impactful do you think having a guy like Vrabel in charge of this program with a focus on that culture, how is that going to impact the Patriots in this division this year?
It's going to be a huge impact from minute one, and I appreciate Mike Vrabel being honest with everyone that's involved with that organization because he doesn't have time to answer the same question over and over again, whether someone that works for the team or whether someone is covering the team. And all you have to do is look back to the Tennessee Titans and how he made a lot out of a little personnel-wise with that team. They weren't the most exciting, the sexiest team to watch, but they consistently made their way to the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill had one of his best seasons under Mike Vrabel, and you have a franchise quarterback in Drake May, and I think the tables are going to turn around quickly. And I'll just say it, Haley, I think this team has a chance to win at least 9 games and make a push for the playoffs this season. And that sounds potentially crazy given how bad they've been the last 2 years, but I think that's how important Mike Vrabel is, and that's how good Drake May will be in year 2.
I think it's going to look a lot different in this division than what people are expecting. The Patriots going to open the season against the Raiders on CBS. Ryan Wilson, your work never stops, and we appreciate your conversation here on HQ Spotlight. The NFL season just over a month away. Our games returning to CBS on September 7th with a handful of teams we just talked about kicking off their season with us. Sunday makes CBS your place to go.